everyone. Today we are going to be talking about a topic that you guys have been requesting for quite a while, and that is Islam. I don't know why, but every now and again I get like a commenter or two that's just like, oh, she just hates Christians. Oh, she's such a Muslim lover. She wouldn't talk like this about Muslims. And no offense, but that is just stupid. I don't love or hate either group. I form my opinions on individuals and their actions, not what religion they follow. That said, I do share the same view of Islam as I do with Christianity, which is that I think they're both based on fictional myths. I don't think there's any like truth or fact in them in regards to there being any kind of like God or Allah existing or anything like that. And I also think that in certain circumstances both can be extremely dangerous, especially when their religious texts are taken literally. I admit both can have positive influences on some people, but they can also be very damaging for others. I don't really want to make any kind of big sweeping assumptions or whatever. The only reason I haven't really spoken excessively about Islam before is that I'm still learning about it. Before I started making these kinds of YouTube videos, I have very, very little knowledge on Islam. So the learning curve has been pretty steep for a lot of these topics. I don't want to get too much into the kind of like deep stuff today. I don't want to get into the whole like, well, this book says this and this says this. I don't want to get into that. That's not my kind of thing. That's not my style. I like to look at how religions and teachings affect real people in their real lives. That's what I find interesting and that's what I think is important. So that's what I want to talk about in regards to Islam. That's why today we are going to be looking at a couple of videos from Islamic speakers about women wearing makeup and perfume beauty products and how they should dress. I know to some people it might sound like a silly topic because it's not this like big, deep, philosophical topic, right? It's not a real issue to some people because I'm not debating whether Allah exists or not. I'm not debating the meaning of life or where the universe came from or whatever, or what happens after we die. I'm not talking about the big issues like that. I know to some people makeup is seen as a stupid thing. Clothes are seen as a stupid, frivolous thing. But the thing is, this, I think, is a really important issue because it affects millions of people on a day-to-day basis, every hour of the day. Don't take this the wrong way, but how often does what happens to you after you die come up on a day-to-day basis? It doesn't really. But what clothes you get to wear, how you get to look, even just how you identify yourself, that's something that affects everyone every single day. My freedom to wake up and choose to wear whatever I want, to style my hair however I want, to wear as many or as few beauty products as I like, I think it's something that I often take for granted and a lot of people take for granted. And it's something which might not be seen that serious by some, but if you take that away from people, it has such a huge effect on their lives and their happiness and their independence, and that's why I think it's something worth talking about. So today we're going to be looking at a couple of different videos with a couple of different Muslim speakers talking about these issues, and we're going to be kind of commenting on some of their comments. Saying comment a lot. Let me know your comments on the comments I make about these comments. Yeah.
My mothers and sisters, look, I'm going to address an issue that there is a crisis regarding in today's world. What is it? It is makeup. You know makeup?
So I find this interesting to start with because there are a lot of issues in the world that could be considered a crisis, right? I mean, what about issues surrounding female genital mutilation? What about the countries where people are killed just for being gay? What about the horrific numbers of people living in poverty and without clean water and without regular access to actual nutritious food? What about climate change? What about nuclear weapons? What about all the fighting and wars in the world? What about the recent and not so recent terror attacks? And I mean, that is just scratching the surface. There are so many big, important problems in the world. Many of them would deserve to be called a crisis. But if there's one thing that in no circumstances deserves to be called a crisis, it's women wearing makeup.
I tell you something. Makeup, I don't want to talk about the use of makeup. I want to talk about the abuse of makeup. Abusing it. Today, people are abusing this in such a way that their hearts become so attached to it that their own identity is an insult to themselves. That's the problem.
Okay, so this is interesting, and this is one thing I do have to kind of praise this first video for, not the others, but this first one, in that they do a good job of making a distinction between kind of using any makeup at all and using too much makeup. I do agree, kind of abuse of makeup in terms of wearing too much of it can be a bad thing. Not necessarily in the way that this guy means, more in the way of that, like, if I see a girl wearing, you know, piling on foundation or wearing wrong colours for her, or like bad eyebrows or not blending things out or whatever, or like wonky eyeliner, which I'm probably pretty guilty of on many occasions, yeah, it's a little bit cringy, but not to crisis level, you know? And those girls just need a helping hand. They just need someone to say, hey, I like that you have a lot of passion for your makeup. Maybe you could just try doing this instead of this. Like, there, solved your crisis. Like, next. But that's not what these people are talking about.
Stop it. Don't go to that level. Within limits, okay, fine. Let it pass. But it becomes beyond the limit. Every day you paste 2 inches of icing on your cake. That's not good.
So what they are talking about are the people who feel reliant on makeup, who have such low self-esteem that they feel they need makeup in their lives, that they feel like they can't be without makeup. And I'll agree that is a shame. Again, I'm not sure I'd call it a crisis. It is a shame to see girls who feel reliant on makeup. It is a shame to see someone whose self-esteem is so low. I've been there myself. But I think the best way to encourage someone to get out of that and make them feel better about themselves and stop them being so reliant on makeup at all is to make them feel good about themselves and to build them up and to encourage them and make them feel comfortable in who they are, not to mock them for their only defense mechanism, which is makeup. I feel their tactics are very wrong here.
One day it looks like a strawberry cake, the other day orange cake, the next day banana cake, every day a different type of a cake. What is this? That's what I'm saying.
Again, I think this comment is completely unnecessary and it's completely missing the point. If there's any issue here, it's that women have self-esteem issues and we should be doing something to help them. The issue is not that they look different every day. There's nothing wrong with that. If a woman wants to change up her look, that's perfectly fine. It's not a problem. How is it hurting anyone?
Your husband will kiss someone else. Because you say, hey, wait, my lipstick, hey, don't touch. How can you keep on doing that?
To this comment, I have a couple of things to say. I mean, the first being that whether it's a joke or not, there is zero justification for your husband going out and kissing another woman. I don't care if he doesn't like your makeup or not. There's no justification there. And the second thing I will say is that if women are acting like this and they're like, I don't want to kiss you because you're going to smudge my lipstick, then either they need to invest in some new makeup, because seriously, right? These 4 lipsticks right here, I can eat, I can drink, I can kiss Dan, I can go a whole 24 hours and they do not budge off my lips. They are insanely good. So if you're having that problem, women, invest in some good makeup. And the other thing I will say, if women are acting like this, then maybe it's just a defense mechanism because they're looking for an excuse not to kiss you for some other reason. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, the whole basis of this video is just to say you don't need makeup, be happy with what Allah gave you. It talks about doing everything in moderation. I don't particularly like the way it sends the message, and it definitely exaggerates the whole issue, but it's not too bad on the whole, I don't think. I think this is a part of Islamic teachings that I wouldn't say I can get behind, but that I don't oppose too much, if that makes sense. The next video, on the other hand, is a huge issue. This is a big problem. This is something that makes me angry, and this is something that I do not like.
Ikhwani, very, very important, something which our sisters just don't understand. It should be loose, not tight, so that it describes any part of the body. I'm sure every single one of us, and it's a plague. If you go to a busy place, you will see a sister in hijab, and she will be wearing clothes that are so tight, Ikhwani, there is nothing left except that you can see everything. This is completely haram.
So basically, summary here of this point in this video is that if you are a woman, no man should be able to see any part of your body in public. The outline of an arm? No. Your legs? No. A man shouldn't even be able to tell if you're fat or thin. There should be no trace of an outline of the body. I hate this so much because it's just so dehumanizing, and I know some people may say that's an exaggeration, but I don't think it is. If we take all issues of gender and sexuality out of this conversation for a second and just think about it in terms of someone being told to hide their body, to hide the characteristics which essentially show what species you are, you're not just taking away femininity, you're not just taking away individuality, you're taking away their humanity. And I just find it very, very bizarre.
And of course, if you're wearing jeans, you can't do it. If you're wearing leggings, you can't do it. The only way that a sister can cover herself is to wear an abaya or to wear a jilbab or something else which is a loose fitting.
So I did have to look up what these are, and they look like this. Complete head to toe coverings. They're just baggy and shapeless, again taking away all sense of identity and just the sense that you have a body at all. It's creating this very, very specific divide between men who are humans and everything else, which happens to be women.
It should not be perfumed. Sisters nowadays, they wear a hijab, they're wearing the abaya, they're wearing the jilbab, and subhanallah, they wear so much perfume that you can smell them from the other side of the room. If they walk past you, it gives you a headache. Ikhwani, this is completely forbidden by the Prophet alayhi salatu salam.
Yeah, you know what, people who do wear too much perfume are pretty annoying. The smell can be a bit overpowering, give you headaches, yeah. But seriously, not perfumed at all? Again, it's just taking away another chance as self-expression, and it seems so unnecessary to say never wear perfume. I mean, if a person's not allowed to choose what they wear, or how they, or differentiate how they look from anyone else, then surely they need something to stand out, and the next logical step will be smell. Take that away, and again, they have zero opportunities, no chance to differentiate themselves at all. It doesn't seem fair.
It should not resemble the clothes of men. Sisters, when you dress, don't dress like men. Don't be wearing jeans and don't be wearing other things that are for the men. It's not permissible for a woman to wear jeans and then wear hijab. Ikhwani, it's extremely important. The Messenger of Allah cursed the man who wears woman's clothes and the woman who wears men's clothes.
I mean, really, that's the reason you're going to give. Just, you'll be cursed if you do it. What this actually means is they just want to control women, they want to oppress people, and they don't actually have a good reason behind it. So they're just going to say, you'll be cursed. It's completely unreasonable. Okay, on to the next speaker in this video. He says this.
The women that leave the house with the shape of their bodies defined, or their hair shown, or they are decorated in one way, shape, or form, or they are perfumed, every neck that turns, every eye that looks, you share in the sin of the person that committed it. You could be upon the bus, reading Quran, or making dhikr, and you don't even realize it. That guy whose eyes fall on your thigh, or his eyes fall upon your arms, or your neck, or your waist, or your legs, any of this, you get the exact same sin because you made that sin a possibility. And it appeared to them before Allah what they never expected. Sins and sins and sins and sins, mountains. Never expected.
And here we get to the core of this entire issue. Some men can't control their sexual urges, so the blame is on the woman. Sorry, but no. This makes no sense and it makes me very, very angry. Like, seriously, it's like saying if a man looks at your legs, it's your fault for having legs. You should pretend you don't have legs. I mean, it's the equivalent of saying to a child, well, I told you there are pedophiles around. This world has pedophiles. This kid, he should have just grown up already. Stop being all young and childlike. It's his fault he got molested because pedophiles can't be expected to help themselves. That would be a completely unreasonable thing to say, and it's exactly the same thing to say to women. It's an extreme example, but it's similar. We aren't talking about women walking around the streets in their underwear. We aren't talking about women going around wearing short shorts and crop tops. We're talking about a woman wearing a pair of trousers. We're talking about a woman wearing a jumper. We're talking about women wearing any item of clothing that shows a limb. Like, we're talking about a woman wearing a body spray. We're talking about a woman showing a bit of their hair. Apparently, these are sins. There's something to be punished for and shamed for. And it's not fair. apparently these basic things like, you know, having hair, having arms, having legs, apparently these are just asking to be objectified, asking to be sexualized, and being told you're sinning because another person can't control themselves not to look at you in a lustful way. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it's not about desexualizing women, it's about dehumanizing them. It's not just about taking away their femininity, but taking away anything that puts them on an equal level with men. It's taking away anything that makes them identifiable, and I hate it. I don't think it's fair at all. So yeah, I feel like this has been like a bit of a weird video, and my first kind of like foray into talking about Islam, but on the whole, I'm very angry, and I don't like how women are talked about and treated here. I think the first video was a lot less extreme than the second, but again, I still didn't like the mocking. It still took away a lot of freedom of choice and made women feel guilty for just wanting to express themselves in any way. And I don't know, maybe Islam does the same with men in terms of wanting to take away their individuality. I don't know about that. All I know about from these videos is their teachings towards women, so that's all I can really comment on at the moment. But I don't know, just let me know your thoughts towards it, about it, in response to it. I mean, how would you as a person, regardless of if you're male or female, how would you as a person feel if you got told that you couldn't show your limbs, if you essentially had to wear just like a covering of fabric that was probably a bit impractical and that just took away every identifiable feature about you, not just that identify you as an individual, but that identify you as a person? Like, can you imagine how that would make you feel? I can't help but feel it would be so lonely. Yeah, sorry, I'm rambling here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you made it through this far, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you again soon. Just wanted to say a quick, huge thank you to everyone who is supporting me on Patreon this month, with a special thank you to these guys: Ewan Matthewson, Secular Reason, Daniel Clark, Lachie Scott, Jadeon Sheppard, and Matthew Meinema. You guys are all incredible. Everyone else is linked in the description below or on the end screen. You're all amazing, and just thank you so much.